Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the 10th scenario of Railway Empire 2, Étoile Paris, the Paris Star. This scenario is in many ways similar to the second scenario, Star Logistics, except that this map of France is much larger than the map of St. Louis and surroundings. Now, star-shaped systems might in many ways be a straightforward way of completing mission objectives, at least some of them. But I've experienced some difficulties with this approach, as well as that I feel that money are coming in a bit slow compared to systems consisting of intersecting circles. And this flat broad map is just perfect for a circular approach that will make us a fortune in no time. So we will look into a strategy with liner tracks moving in between intersecting circles. But say first look at the mission objectives. To have express status between Orléans, Paris, and Lille, and then a balance that will come on very quickly, and then from Cannes, Paris to Nancy, and then also focusing on building up Paris all the time. And also many of these express status between Brest, Paris, and Strasbourg. We cannot focus on all of this at once. We have some time to complete the missions anyway, so we must focus on making money as well. And then to have this nice circle here, single track going around in this direction, around Lille, Reims, and Paris, and then an extra line here, this being the express line going down here. And you can see how all connection bonuses are being picked up as well. Very important to have that early on, and also then to have one extra line here, Cannes Paris, and then to see that all of this is functioning, and that we have a warehouse in between Paris to be distributing the goods from one system to another. Quick look at tech. We see that we are very early now in the game. I mean, only the best one we have access to is the Jenny Lin. We don't have access to the hotels yet, so we have to pick up on that later. Further on, we will aim for the Iron Duke. A little bit careful about this, because if we choose this one, any express statuses that we have on the Jenny Lin, we might easily achieve express statuses on the Jenny Lin in this early stages. But as soon as we pick up the Iron Duke, the express statuses might be in danger. But we might save up to sort of jump through this Iron Duke and then go straight for the Rhine, and then we can have both the Iron Duke and the Rhine at once. Having a quick look at these locomotives in the engine shed. It's always nice to go here. One can have a little look around, marvel on some of the graphics, and then truly look forward and see how these trains are different to each other. Have mixed. This freight train's the best freight train we have access to. Kind of nice, but also remember the Derwent, the cheapest one. For these lines that don't need so much, this can be a very good train with low maintenance requirement and low price for most of all. One thing to point out that I want to in this character selection, not everybody is such a fan of the professor, but it depends on where in the game you are. If you are very early in the game, then this all locomotives are 60% cheaper is fantastic, because trains are much more expensive early in the game. Later in the game, you will pick up on all of these nice techs that make locomotives cheaper and cheaper all the time. But in the early game, these locomotives are absolutely super expensive. So then I pay 1/3 of the price pretty much. And then if these prices were 3 times higher, they would be much higher than any track reduction or extra bonuses that I could acquire with any of the other characters. Later in the game, when we're going to play in the 19th century and such, the professor is not so fantastic, because his ability, the trains are so cheap anyway. So then it's not such so good. But in games that start very early in the 40s or 50s, he's absolutely fantastic. And so then, now we just jumped 3 months into the game, into the next quarter. But see what we have done with the connection bonuses. Now, first of all, I have removed that extra express line that went up here. There are so many lines going to crisscross through Paris now that I thought that this first one could be sort of removed. And I haven't really focused so much on my mission objectives. The balance came in very nicely, and then the first express line, of course. But the two other lines, Brest Paris Strasbourg and Cannes Paris Nancy, I haven't focused on them at all, because I thought that now it was time to really build up a strong economy and to have money coming in. They're not coming in so fast already, but I have room for a lot of more trains on my now 2 circles that are going around here. This circle can easily take 11, 12, 13 trains perhaps. And this other little circle here, in each direction, at least 6, 7. So there's going to be a lot of trains. And they're all going to go around and around and pretty much be full and not have too long hauls. Quick look at the flow of goods now flowing through Paris there. See that it goes from one side of the circle to another. If there is in one system, but not in the other system. If there are, if there is something that is consisting on both sides now, say with wheat, then wheat is not going through. Further planning in such, we now see that we can make for a line now going from Brest, Cannes, Paris, and further on, and we can put it in between here. And further on now, we're gonna split this into several stations and have 3 stations in Paris to sort of separate the systems and to make room for several of these lines going in between here. So then, 1 year into the game, we have been able to complete quite a bit of interesting systems here. But let's first have a look at the mission objectives. And see that now we made all the first objectives, put these lines through our circular systems, and then put more lines to sort of add upon it. And then further on, we're going to build a new line from Dijon, Auxerre, Paris, and then growing these cities and such. This just comes on naturally if you just connect them to circles and then also put on extra lines. They will have all the nice goods that they can receive. You just have to look at the flow of goods and such. And then express status further on develop to the south, Bordeaux, Le Mans, Paris, and then construct a university in Paris. Some optional tasks here as well, but we will look at those later. Now we have made it into 3 circles. We remember these first circles here, still in many ways as they were, but added upon this extra circle here that doesn't necessarily go through Paris. Not everybody can go through Paris, but they can still be close to Paris. So one can put up a hotel here at this Laurent stop, and then these the passengers here going from Auxerre will go to Orléans, and then they might jump off here and go to Paris. Built this long line here now, Brest, Cannes, Paris, and then further on down here. These halls then will be a bit long, and these are mixed lines now because there aren't any other lines. There's no point in having only an express line. They need to have their goods too. But now look at this, that how, say with lumber, which is distributed from Strasbourg here, going all the way up to Brest. This is a very long haul, and we wouldn't make that much money on having a train do all that travel. So, but with the circles, you sort of make sure that the systems are just only this size, and to have this super long hauls and such for express trains, that might be okay. But it might actually be very good. But with mixed lines and freight lines and such, that the freight might be too long hauls. You can see now how Paris is receiving sugar. There is one sugar resource that is not going to Paris, but only supplying its own circular zone here, Reims, Orléans, Auxerre. While this sugar here that's going through is now being redistributed all over the system, except for this first system that is already being taken care of. Cows then. Should one have cows? There are immediate cow resources here going to Lille and also to Reims. but I've chosen not to connect them. Because after all, I sort of had to or wanted to put some of these livestock resources here onto the main line on both sides like this. Then it would only be Lille up here. Lille is not really receiving all that it needs, but still it's receiving some. Let's have a look. Actually, quite a lot. Yes, they're receiving all the livestock that they're needing from a warehouse connection. So then sometimes it might actually be better to put these resources, this especially industrial resources, into the lines, except instead of having these dedicated lines. The dedicated lines ensure, of course, that they will have enough, but very often they will have too much, and then the train will be standing there and waiting. And now with this approach, there are no warning signs or no nothing. Little nice to have a new industry bonus here, so we can build something nice. Have a look at the map and see what could be needed. I think I'm gonna go for the liquor industry, pretty close to both fruit and sugar, and then they're gonna pay a half price for us. Yeah, some money were returned. We still have to pay some of it ourselves. I wouldn't recommend buying up too much industry here. It's so easy to just keep on expanding and expanding and expanding. No concessions, pretty much. All of France is free to us. A little bit here up in Belgium and Luxembourg and England and Spain. But otherwise, we can just keep on expanding, and we shouldn't use money on anything except building rails and putting trains on them. And so then 2 years into the game, money is starting to roll in. That's a very good thing. A quick look at the budget, see how if we moved up. Yes, now things are starting to really start bumping up. Little sluggish in the beginning here. And back and forth. Be very careful when you update these long lines, making them longer or deleting or doing something that they will take some time to get back on track, these trains. And then we'll lose money on that. But now with the circles, they are stable. Still having these 3 built upon some more here. Now there is an extra circle here, a little awkward one, but they can be a little awkward. That's okay. There are some difficult areas here and disallowed areas and such, making it a little bit more difficult. Another peculiar circle here up to Brest and going around here. And now, as we built all these circles, now all of the cities here are connected circle-wise. So then these long lines in between, particularly this long from Strasbourg to through Paris up to Brest, can be turned into express line. Looking at the mission objectives, see how we fared there. Now we were able to complete this Bordeaux-Limoges-Paris line, and also connecting Dijon, Auxerre, Paris, and constructing the university, and growing 50,000, growing some big cities. And then next on, we have to have a train run back from Bayonne to Paris in less than 50 days. That means that it can have 100 days back and forth. This is just one way. So not so demanding task, as long as we just can be able to connect to Bayonne, which is kind of far south. And then Nice, Lyon, Paris, and also Perpignan, Clermont-Ferrand, Paris. And to have all of these lines now going in between, and we also want to achieve the Nice, Paris, Brest, and just remembering all these French names, and to make this into a system, while simultaneously also connecting. I will connect the mission of later, but thinking of all of these lines and see how are we now going to put it. We had all these nice circles now that are sort of governing the northern portion of France, and then there is this more or less desolate area in the middle with very little, and then it might be nice to have lines now coming mostly through Paris, because everything is going through Paris. But now we have 3 stations there. 1 station's up north, which is more or less only concerned with this circle, but it has a warehouse, and it has, of course, the opportunity that people will just take a taxi or something from one station to another and pay for it themselves, and no problem. So they're all connected like this, and then 1 station for this circle. And then for all the other lines that are now going through, pretty much, they will be connected through this peculiar in the middle station, so that we now have one line, this, the Brest-Strasbourg, and then over here, the Paris-Lyon, like this. You can have a closer look at this. We can go in here and look at this and see the arrows. Yes, this is good. And it goes outside this circle and then connects to this here. And then both of these cities, Auxerre is member of its own circle here, and then Dion is member of the Strasbourg-Nancy circle. And then this line, the Dion, comes underneath here. In many ways, the same with the Bordeaux. That was not right. This Bordeaux line, Paris-Bordeaux, going like this, and also sort of just coming out of the circulars, going in between them, and then having this long tentacle going down there. And this will be the star shape. But what to do with all the other cities if one just have these long tentacles coming out from Paris? There might be cities like this Clermont-Ferrand, Le Mans, or say with La Rochelle, Le Mans. How to connect them if they're all just this star rays coming out from Paris? Then one needs something in between. One can start do something very easy and just grab an extra line, but then to have these long tentacles going parallel, or at least some kind of intersecting tangent to the circles, will be perhaps a better choice, and at least it's making us a lot of money. You can see now with the train usage and such, see that they are pretty busy, these trains going around down here. Using, of course, a lot of hotels and such here with the all of these places that are in across, one should put up hotels. They make an absolute fortune. Also here, say in Bordeaux, here, this hotel that makes it that so that not everybody has to go to Brest. If you just want to take the quick circle, then one can go around this. But if you want to go to Brest, then one can go further on. One so desires. The different passengers have different desires, and we should accommodate them. Having a quick look at the flow of goods, see how that is faring. This is, of course, the very important thing with this strategy, to see all the time that one has when one manages this flow through the different circles. Wheat should be very close, very local. Corn as well, not too many warehouses, but say the more advanced goods and such, say with carrots, for example, they often have to go very long distances. There are not so much of them, so it's sort of okay, but be careful about these things, and then check the flow of goods. And so then we made it. Just 2.5 years, and we made chief executive with more than 700,000 total score, and we still haven't completed all our optional tasks. Let's see how we did this. First, quick look at the tasks. The task that we didn't complete was making 19 different goods available in Paris. I have completely neglected any kind of industry, just built and super rapidly expanded. So that makes it so that with the money we are making now, 2 million a week, we could easily buy up a lot of industry and really turn Paris into a super city. And we were able to complete all these long lines and in not too much of a time, and also connect all the cities, and actually not all the cities, but all of the resources, pretty much, except for this clay down here and something that is used only for super dedicated industry. But all the common resources made for this really nice system that connects it all, and that also really makes money and has very few warning signs. There are no trains waiting here. There are good flow. Looking at the train usage and such, they are of course being overloaded, all these systems, but still it is running very well. Made for all these fantastic tentacles further on from Paris and such. We have this long going down here all the way to Nice, and then also one to Perpignan, going to Clermont-Ferrand here, and up as well as the here, and all the way further on. Now this path to Brest over here is now both going one to Nice and then one to Strasbourg. But see now here with this oldest line that I made. This was one of the first ones going from Strasbourg to Brest, one of the first objectives. Why now is this having maintenance problems? There is no explanation to this. I have maintenance depots pretty much on every stop. What we see now it's going. It is in Rams and it's going to look. Where is look? It is all the way over here. So then this is some sort of a bug. This is some sort of error. These trains, they are sort of governed by this the data sheets, and at some point somewhere in the program there must have happened to become a glitch, and then this train, we don't know where it started, and then it's just suddenly aiming for a station way far away. This doesn't happen so much on circular path, because there are smaller, containing fewer stops and such. But if one have long paths, long liner paths, this might happen that they sort of get out of track, get out of their mode, and then it's not only that they're having these maintenance breakdowns and such that blocks up, but they're not making any money. They are really digging into our revenue like this. Such sometimes one just make a little circle like this and simply just connected it up here to Bron. Just did it very quick and easy. Didn't have all that money. Wanted to complete it in 2.5 years. But then there is this other extra England line coming down here, and then I make sort of just quick connected this Cologne Luxembourg circle through Luxembourg, and then down to Strasbourg like this. And both in Strasbourg and Nancy, I place the stations upwards, so that there are not room for that much. But still, one can do it like this. And also here we had this 2 long rays coming down to Perpignan and Nice from Paris both, and then Clermont and Lyon were sort of separated, and then make for an extra connection here. But then this line as well, this line had to be turned into an express line. We cannot have any goods on this line. That those hauls would be enormous, going from one side of the map to another like this, and it would make for a mess. So then to turn this into an express line, hoping to make some money from that. There are not so many passengers yet. The Nice, for example, is way too small to really deserve a dedicated passenger line. They only become really profitable later in the game. But no, we did have to have it because of the mission objectives. But then to add on these extra mixed lines now, they both serve to connect in between here, and also could serve to put on make for flow of goods, and to have these lines at several places, so connecting in between. Then this line here also further on to the west to Perpignan, and then to connect a southern line here going to, so that they're all connected. And then this line sort of blocks in between, but one can have a hotel here, and one can have of course connection in Perpignan. And then also same with, we also have to build a ray down to Bayonne and then further on to Bilbao in order to connect here. And I thought I'm going to include Burgos as well. But then this line will be the long line will be an express line. Make sure to not mess up any flow of goods. This one, Paris Bordeaux. But then of course to make sure that there are goods flowing, there is also a mixed line here to sort of add upon it. And then we could have a quick last look at the budget. See that we have a little bit high traffic jams and such. We can look further into that. See that we are steadily growing more and more. A little bit high loans and such, but that would be taken care of. Not so much of a problem really. Company value is increasingly growing throughout the game. The important thing would be to be looking at all of these flow of goods and to make sure that they are close together, and that all the cities, you can go through the cities like this one by one and see that they are all properly connected. Here is one, La Rochelle is not really connected here. One can bring up all of this, but the most important is that if one or two of these are missing, that might be a little bit okay. But the most important thing is that the most of them are being connected. So we can see now that we will have an absolute explosive revenue now, because all of the cities are now pretty much connected. Say the moment that I connected Marseille, for example, which is a little bit outside, or say with Burgos, is there any point in connecting this far out little city? Yes, because there are pretty much, perhaps not full disconnects to the one, two are missing, but that connects to 18 cities, and then 18 cities are also connecting to it. So that makes for a really nice, extra fantastic revenue. Here is a conflict. This just happened to be. It's a little dumb that I really can't see quite where this is going. I wish that I can sort of hold it on here, but it seems that it might be loosening up. One has to look into this, and sometimes one just, I often takes sometimes a little bit of time, and then one can be very careful not to delete the entire rail line. The game is sort of helpful sometimes to making you do really bad mistakes, but they just delete this one train over here, and that will take care of the problem, and then one should perhaps put up an extra train here. Oh, warning here. There are so many things that one keep forgetting. Let's see here what I've done. That's the reason for the conflict, of course, that there were. If there aren't directional tracks on this, directional signals on these tracks, then things might turn into a mess. And there will be delays. They will just be standing there and watching each other. Going over here, seeing that the flow is nice, that all these zones are sending from one place to another. Didn't really work out so well that I was hoping with 3 stations, because at least all the long lines would have to be here, but they will have to do that in every city that is connected through warehouses, and most cities are. So then that might just be put on any station and then rather just turned into express trains. See how this is working. Praxis, particularly with the milk, say perhaps it's required more or less basic resource, which often have to travel long distances. Now there's no milk up here in Cologne. They're not really needing it yet, but then one perhaps should put it in. Well, but then I guess that pretty much sums it all up. One can feel free to like and subscribe and leave some comments. Then I hope to see you next time, and goodbye.